Hey there, are you looking to expand your English vocabulary? Well, you're in the right place. In the next few minutes, we're going to unlock 20 essential words and phrases, and we're going to do it in a way that makes them really easy to remember and, most importantly, easy for you to start using in your own conversations. So, let's get started.
Okay, so we've organized these words into 4 themes to help you learn them way faster. See, when you learn related words together, your brain makes connections, and that makes everything stick. We'll kick things off with work and value, then jump into action and reaction, followed by qualities and states, and we'll wrap it all up with time and progress.
First up, let's talk about words you'll hear all the time in the workplace or when discussing business. These are all about professional life, jobs, and how we talk about value.
All right, our first word is demand. Demand. As a noun, it just means a really strong need or request for something. You've probably heard this in economics, right? Supply and demand. If there's high demand, it means a ton of people want to buy something. You can also use it as a verb. For example, you can demand an answer from someone when you really need to know.
This table breaks down 3 really useful verbs for work. First, entitle. This means to give someone the legal right to something. So your work contract might entitle you to paid time off. Next up, underpay. Pretty straightforward. It means to pay someone less than they deserve. And finally, affiliate, which is all about making an official connection. A company might affiliate with a charity. And notice those little words that follow? You're entitled to something, and you affiliate with someone. Those prepositions are key.
Here's a perfect example sentence. Due to high demand, the company decided to accelerate production. You can see the cause and effect here, right? The high demand is the reason the company had to speed things up. That strong need for the product forced them to act.
All right, let's switch gears. We've talked about work, so now let's talk about how we act and react in our daily lives. You know, how we communicate with each other, respond to things, and make judgments.
This is one that trips people up all the time. A motto is personal. It's about what a person or a group believes in. Think of something like, be prepared. A slogan, on the other hand, is for selling something, whether it's a product or an idea. It's got to be catchy. Think, just do it. So, easy way to remember, a motto is for an ideal. A slogan is for an ad.
So here we have some words for reactions, and we've split them into positive and negative. On the positive side, you can applaud an achievement, which basically means you praise it, and the noun for that is applause. You can affirm something, which means you agree that it's true, and you can pardon or forgive someone for a mistake. On the negative side, you might criticize an idea you think is bad. The noun form there is criticism. Or you might suspect something's not quite right. The feeling you have is called suspicion.
And speaking of affirm, that brings us to our next word, affirmative. This is the adjective form. If your answer is affirmative, it just means your answer is yes. It sounds a little more formal, a little more official. You know, like a pilot might say, affirmative, we are cleared for takeoff. The noun, by the way, is affirmation. Here's a great example of a positive reaction in action. The crowd began to applaud when she finished her speech. You can almost hear the clapping, can't you? To applaud is that action of showing praise, usually by clapping your hands.
Okay, so we've got our actions and reactions down. But what about the words we use to describe the nature of things, or people, or feelings? Well, that's exactly where we're headed next. Welcome to Part 3. This is where we get to add some real color and detail to our language. These are the words that help us explain what something or someone is actually like.
Our first word here is mediocre. Mediocre. It describes something that is, well, just okay. It's not awful, but it's definitely not great. It has a slightly negative feel to it. You probably wouldn't be happy if your boss said your work was mediocre. You'd want to hear excellent, or at least good.
Now here we have a fantastic pair of opposites that describe how people behave. Someone who is spontaneous does things on a whim, without a lot of planning. You know, like taking a spontaneous road trip. On the flip side, someone who is cautious is very careful. They think about all the possible problems first. For instance, you should always be cautious when crossing a busy street. The noun is caution. So, which one are you? A little more spontaneous or a little more cautious?
Let's look at 4 words for, well, not so great states. First, tedious. A task is tedious if it's super long, slow, and boring, like copying numbers into a spreadsheet for hours. Next is sluggish. This is the perfect word for that feeling when you have zero energy. Maybe you didn't sleep well and you feel sluggish all day. Hysterical describes a state of wild, uncontrolled emotion. It could be hysterical laughter or hysterical crying. And finally, suspicious, which connects back to that verb suspect. It's that feeling you get when you just don't trust something.
And check this out. You can use these words together to paint a very clear picture. The long, tedious meeting made everyone feel sluggish. See how that works? Tedious describes the cause, that boring meeting, and sluggish describes the effect, that feeling of being totally drained of energy.
All right, we're on to our final section. Here, we're focusing on words that help us talk about time, speed, and how things move forward from one stage to the next.
Think about any project. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? Well, that very end part, right before it's all finished, we call that the late stage, or the final phase. For example, a video game company might be in the final phase of testing before release.
Sometimes you just need to make things happen faster. You can accelerate something, like you accelerate a car. You can expedite a process, which is a slightly more formal word you'll hear in business when something needs to be prioritized. Or you can use the idiom, get on the fast track, which means finding a quick path to success.
Okay, here are two adverbs you are going to use all the time to show what happens next. Later on and afterward. Both mean the exact same thing, at a future time or after something else has already happened. For example, let's finish our work now and we can get coffee afterward.
And here's one last great example that pulls two of our new words together. We are in the final phase of the project, so we must expedite the remaining tasks. This shows a really clear relationship. Because we're at the end, it's necessary to speed things up.
So let's do a quick recap. We looked at words for work and value like demand. We covered words for social reactions like applaud and suspect. We learned words to describe qualities like mediocre and spontaneous. And finally, we talked about time and progress with words like accelerate.
So what's the most important thing to take away from all this? It's not just the 20 words themselves, but how we learned them. See, learning vocabulary isn't about memorizing a long random list. It's about building a mental map. When you group words by theme, like we did today, you create connections that help you pull out the perfect word right when you need it.
So, I'm going to leave you with a little challenge. All this knowledge is only really powerful when you put it into practice, right? So take another look at these words and ask yourself, which one of these am I going to try to use in a conversation today? Thanks so much for joining me.